Hey everybody, it's Chance here with another episode of Paranormasight. Last time, kind of a change in tone. We had the lore hour. I think we're going to just continue that, to be completely honest with you. So I think it's like a continuation of the... Because this is the one we start with, but this is the one that comes from the recollections, so... Treasure Hunt, Part 1, Arnav Barnum. After collecting information about mermaids and returning to their inn, Avi and Circe have a meeting to plan their for their true objective, the treasure hunt. Date unknown, August 1980X afternoon, Toba City, Ryokan guest room. Now then, I believe it's time we discuss our strategy. Sure. What do you mean by strategy? It should be obvious. We must reflect upon all we've learned if we want to move forward. Okay. This is a sketch of the mermaid mummy that I found in our family storage. Bringing it along would have been out of the question, so I settled on just bringing a sketch. Oh, that's right. I still haven't told Circe why I'm searching for mermaids. Some of the notes I've taken. The information in them is not substantive and likely of no use. This map looks quite old. Exactly. It is also the precise reason I have come to Mie. To put it simply, this is no ordinary map. This is a mermaid treasure map. A mermaid treasure map? Allow me to explain. I found this mermaid treasure map in the family storage. I should explain it to Circe. I'm looking at stuff. Oh, is this the business card we got from the guy we met earlier? It is. We managed to glean some surprisingly good info from that exchange. First things first, let's head back to the inn. From there, we can plan our next move. Pardon me, but would the lovely lady and handsome gentleman be willing to spare me a moment? Yes, the gentleman does have some time. I suppose that makes me the lady, then? Oh, it's you. You've been following us around for quite some time. Huh? He has? For how long? Since the Issei Grand Shrine, I believe. Truly, maybe you could try to keep me apprised of such things in the future, Circe? It appears I wasn't as stealthy as I thought. My apologies for the indiscretion. But, you see, the two of you piqued my interest. Foreigners in Issei Bay, searching for mermaids. Gah! You overheard everything. How embarrassing. Avi, hollering won't lessen the embarrassment. How rude of me. I ought to introduce myself. I'm an event planner here in Issei City. My name is Kipe Ikoma. Ooh, a fancy business card and everything. What a charming fellow. Let's see. Sala planning, huh? And it says here you're the CEO. I'm actually the only employee, so the title doesn't mean much. I see. I apologize for the rudeness, but I actually just ran out of business cards of my own. Did you ever have any? I heard you need to carry around business cards in Japan if you want to avoid looking suspicious, but I still forgot to bring any. But the freewheeling and forgetful man before you goes by the name of Arnav Barnum, a fantasy author who is merely passing through. Do you believe me, or am I too suspicious? Without a business card for proof, the verdict is yours alone to make. So you're an author, Mr. Barnum. Please, call me Afi. This is Circe. She's studied more Japanese history than even the average Japanese citizen. It's a pleasure. If you'd like, I can list the top 100 of Issei's best features at any time. Aren't you a delight? I was right to take an interest in you two. Event Services Co-CEO, Kipe Ikoma. 26 years old. Director of Sala Planning, a venture company primarily focused on planning and producing tourism promotion events in Issei City. Ugh, I did not read that sentence correctly at all. An ambitious young man, Kipe is both highly driven and extraordinarily tenacious when it comes to fulfilling his goals. He is currently planning a PR project themed on mermaids as a sightseeing attraction. About 6 years ago, with the support of wealthy tycoon Yoshiatsu Yamashina, Kipe moved to Issei back from the countryside with nothing but the clothes on his back and an eye to making his fortune. This aggressiveness won him Yamashina's favor, and after several years spent building up this experience as assistant, the tycoon granted Kipe an investment, which he started at his current company. Although Yamashina could be said to be particularly strict with him, this is a reflection of the high expectation he has for his future. Kipe often is told he looks old for his age, but this means he's not taken lightly when doing business. He sees it as an advantage. Okay, he does look, he does look like much older than 26. It's the deep set eyes, I think. I think that's what the line is meant to imply there. Forgive me for my bluntness, but would you mind sparing me a few moments? I'd love to talk a little longer. I suppose that could be arranged. Gusts of wind graze the lovely observation deck. Give me a second. I thought she was totally absorbed in her sightseeing, yet she noticed we were being impaled. Impressive, if I do say so myself. So this young man is actually a CEO, though I'm not sure if I'd call him young. His gaze has a piercing quality to it, and there's something off about his smile. Everything about him feels older than he looks. I believe these oversized suits, known as soft suits, are currently quite popular in Japan. Perhaps he's trying to be taken seriously as a CEO. He's certainly putting in a lot of effort into his appearance. The truth is, I'm currently planning a promotional tourism campaign for the Ise-shima region. I was thinking of using mermaid legends as the centerpiece of the campaign. Mermaids, huh? I'm sure you're already quite aware of the mermaid legends in Issei Bay, yes? I thought we could hold events and expeditions centered around such legends to attract tourists. I see, so that's why you're interested in mermaids. Additionally, the Ise-shima region is also famous for its pearls. I believe mermaids and pearls naturally complement one another. True, there's also the famous legend that a mermaid's tears turn into pearls when they're washed away by the ocean. Oh, such a story would do wonders for driving tourism to the area. Does this project mean you're knowledgeable about mermaids in Issei then, Mr. Okoma? I suppose it does. I know a fair bit. For example, there are mermaid legends that most people have never heard of. Oh, do share. A long time ago, there was an island south of Kamishima known as Taishima. Have you heard of it? I'm afraid I haven't. It rings a bell. It was also called Taishima by some. That's absolutely right. It is said that once upon a time, 3 mermaids lived on Taishima. Wow, 3 of them. Tell me, were they human mermaids or fish mermaids? Human mermaids? Well, I suppose their upper bodies were human, so I suppose you could describe them as such. I see. Then that would separate them from the 3 mermaids discovered in Betsuho during the Heian period. Oh, this is the first I've heard of this tale. However, Taishima sunk about 400 years ago during a natural disaster. The mermaids seem to have vanished after that. What? That's such a shame. Regardless, it is said that these 3 mermaids were called Sobai, Nagame, and Hayase. So the mermaids were named too, huh? That definitely adds to the authenticity of the theory. Pardon me, Mr. Ikoma. I never came across such concrete information. Where did you learn of this? Don't blame you for questioning my sources. I also haven't managed to find any records of this tale. You see, the story was passed down through word of mouth. As it turns out, there was a single man who managed to escape the island's destruction. His descendants have kept the legend alive. Aha! So it's one of those descendants you heard the story from. That's right. They live a modest, private life these days. When the story comes straight from the descendant like that, it does lend it some credibility. Is he in... I mean... I'm like, I recognize his name. Is there anything mentioned like that for... like during the Young Machinist stuff? Is he somehow... I would love to inquire deeper about these Taishima mermaids. If you don't mind, could you share the identity of the descendant you speak of? My apologies, but I'm afraid I can't oblige. She is not the friendliest sort. Frankly, even I have trouble getting her to open up. Okay, so he is involved in... Okay, because we know Cersei is involved in whatever happened to Somikawa. No matter how many times I visit her, I always feel like I'm only getting part of the story. I see. That's a real shame. Now, this may not be much of consolation, but I have another interesting rumor from this descendant to share. Oh, I'm all ears. It concerns one of the rumored Taishima mermaids. It is said that a few decades ago, one of those mermaids turned human and now lives among us. No kidding? She became human? It does ring a bell, though. Why, that is exactly like the story of the Little Mermaid. What an exciting discovery. You say this was only a few decades ago. That makes it quite recent. This former mermaid could even be walking among the people here as we speak. If the story is true, then yes. However, I'll concede that even I find the story hard to believe. It is a little fantastical. By the way, I ask why you're searching for Issei Bay's mermaids, Avi? No particular reason. I just thought it'd be fun to wander through some sightseeing areas related to the mermaid folklore. That's all. I see. Well, since you have traveled all the way to Japan to sightsee, I would love to ask some questions. Was there anything missing from the areas you visited that you think might have made your trip more enjoyable? What about those photo spots you put your face in? I know those. I love them. Really? Are they that interesting? They're a Japanese tourism classic. It would be nice to see more of them. Agreed. If I saw one, I would definitely take a photo with it. Oh, and please sell more of those little pennant flags. I can't resist them. I see. I truly appreciate the input, but perhaps things are fine as they are. Maybe we don't need that. Should you discover anything regarding the area's mermaids, please let me know. Understood. We hope you'll do the same for us. Amazing. A brand new mermaid legend. The real question is why? Why? There's a long history of people making up legends to drive tourism. Such stories linger on despite the veracity being entirely unverifiable. I suppose. Is something the matter? It's nothing. It's nothing. Well, it's about time for us to get going. Oh, yes, of course. Thank you. I apologize again for taking up so much of your time. Actually, since you've come all the way to Japan... If anything happens to you during your vacation here or you need any help at all, please feel free to give me a call. I'm quite familiar with all sorts of businesses in the area. For example, I could put you in touch with someone should you be looking to interview ama divers. Oh, really? That's very kind. You're not just saying it as a formality, are you? A free-spirited lad like myself will not hesitate to take you up on an offer like that. I will call you. Please, do not hold back. I'll leave you to do your sightseeing. Please have a good time. If mermaids really did live on Taishima, certainly worth investigating. It's Ikoma's business card. He's the CEO of the... My throat is freaking out. It's Ikoma's business card. He's the CEO of the event planning company we ran into earlier. A porcelain ashtray that came with this room. Ashtrays like this are found about anywhere, so one can smoke without any worries. That being said, I've noticed people outside still simply dropping their cigarettes onto the ground. Well, I wasn't a smoker to begin with. Especially since you can get, like, cute ashtrays, you know? This is the Murakumote. It's a small inn located in Toba. It's a laid-back inn that feels more like a private residence than a hotel thanks to the attentive staff. I could barely count all the different fresh fish we were served here for dinner last night. I've not felt so full in a while. Hell yeah. This is prioritizing the island of Kamishima. I'd love to pay a visit to a remote island like that. The name is intriguing too. Ah, Kame means turtle, doesn't it? It sure does. It's a poster of Kamishima. I can't shake this weird feeling. Why? Is there something wrong with the island or the poster? The poster, I believe. Do you mind if I take a closer look? My hunch was right. There's a presence here. No way. Come on, don't scare me like that. I was worried yesterday that Sosie might struggle to sleep on a futon in a tatami room like that, but she looks well rested, so I suppose she's used to it. I, on the other hand, was too excited to get much sleep. The door to our room. Outside is a hallway with a restroom and wash basin for communal use. Guests place their shoes in the cubbies at the entrance and wear slippers while inside the inn. Let's just do this, you know what? Ready? Yes, please proceed. You sure? Because I'll do it. I really will. There's no telling what may happen. Quit stalling. Mockingbird 3 discovered. Dawn Heron. Hell yeah. Extra lights for the room. A lot of attention was paid to creating a comfy atmosphere for the guests. Each room is equipped with a mosquito trap. They tend to come in through the window on hot days. It's a neat contraption. You just have to plug it in place and it'll kill all nearby traps like this are reliable, as well as easier and safer than the combustible type, so they've gotten quite popular. I found this map in the old family storage. It was left behind by my great-grandmother. If she's your great-grandmother, that would make her my great-grandmother's sister. I heard she was exiled from the Lunarlight family because of her eccentricities. That's correct. She was quite fond of the occult and amassed a number of suspicious curios over her lifetime. As a child, I loved searching through the storehouse that housed her collection. It was like a treasure hunt of wonders. A demon's tail, a yeti's bone, a book of black magic, Ogopongo's tooth, a piece of a UFO, a crystal skull. I cannot vouch that any of it was authentic, but it was all so exciting to look through. It's no exaggeration when I say that the storehouse is what led me down the path of becoming a fantasy author. I suppose that's the kind of formative experience an occult writer needs. Just so, I have to thank my great-grandmother. She's the reason I can put food on the table. And among them items in the collection was this. I see, a mermaid mummy. Precisely. They were rather prevalent at sideshows and the like all over the world in the 19th century. Mermaid mummies from Japan were quite popular because of their high quality. A number of them even made their way to Europe. This is probably the one that made its way to family storage around that time. It was probably passed down from one seller to another until it ended up in my great-grandmother's hands. How are you so sure it was made in Japan? Well, you see, I gave this mummy a thorough investigation. I even took it apart. Sure enough, it was made of wood and paper clay. But, lo and behold, I also found this map inside. Truly? You found the map inside a mummy? Whoever made it all those years ago must have snuck the map inside. I doubt my great-grandmother had the slightest idea it was even there. That's an incredible discovery. It is simply tantalizing, is it not? There is not a doubt in my mind that it will lead to a most thrilling discovery. So then, why did you call this a mermaid treasure map? Well, it was hidden inside a mermaid mummy, so it follows it must be a treasure trap of sorts, no? I see. Your enthusiasm has carried you quite a ways from home. I'm impressed. Thank you. I have no doubt that our treasure lies somewhere in Issei Bay. That's a shame. There's no X to mark the spot. Indeed, this leads us to our first conundrum. Any ideas how to decipher the map, Cersei? Put me on the spot, why don't you? But it does look like something is written here. Do you know what it says? Oh, that part. I actually did do some research on that. Apparently, it says, search the 95th. Search the 95th? That sure makes it sound like it leads to a secret location of sorts. Yes, and it must be related to mermaids. Aren't you just itching to find out? You know it. I knew it. I'm counting on you to help me solve the vamp's remember?
Talk about the map. Oh, wait, I just remembered. You said you can dowse, no? Can't you just dowse for the treasure? Then we can skip this whole map and riddle business altogether. I apologize, but that's impossible. Truly, but why? Dowsing is usually used to find waterways, veins of ore, and other such things. My dowsing, however, can be used to find people and objects imbued with spiritual power. However, I must be familiar with the spiritual power that I'm looking for. I see. In other words, you wouldn't be able to find a treasure you've never seen or heard of. Yes, the distance from which I can detect the source also depends on how strong the spiritual power is. It's not quite the superpower I thought it was. I say we've had enough of a diversion. Let's get back to investigating your map. I'd say we've had enough. Okay. To be frank, I didn't just come here to solve the map's riddle. My real goal is to find an actual mermaid. Oh, yes. I had a feeling that was it. So you already knew. Exorcists sure have some keen instincts. What will you do if you find a mermaid? Do you want to become immortal? I suppose. Might as well, considering all the trouble finding one will be. Your reasoning is unexpectedly uninspired. Simple though it may be, I find the idea quite romantic, akin to ascending to a new stage of humanity. Sure, I guess. I take it you disagree with my thinking, Cersei? I fail to see why my opinion should matter here. What you do is your decision to make. Though I'm not quite certain that an immortal can still be called human. Still, your decision is irrelevant to my duties, so I will try not to interfere. Actually, meeting an immortal will be quite a rare, once-in-a-lifetime chance. Please transcend humanity and let me examine you. I'd prefer if you didn't speak of me like a research specimen, but I'll overlook it for now. Though, I do wonder if immortality would actually bring you any happiness. When you look at old folk tales, it tends to be less of a blessing and more of a curse. Geez, don't say that after I've already made up my mind and everything. Well, I'm sure you'll be alright. If you tire of immortality, you only need to embark on a journey like modern-day Yao Bikuni. That is one way to look at it, though I think the nun part might be an issue. Well, I shouldn't get too far ahead of myself. There's no immortality to be had till I find a mermaid flesh to bite into. So let's start there. Understood. I'm also quite interested in finding a mermaid myself. Let's take a good look. Pick it up. Oh? Oh, I love the little things that this game does. Did you notice something? It looks like something's written on the other side. Flip it around. I see. I knew I must have missed something. I should carefully hold the edge when I want to look at the other side. Turn it over. Oh, what's this? Spots. Like stars? Take a close look at all the spots on the back of the map. Oh, those? I dismissed them as a bunch of stains. Do you really think that's all they are? Yarika! Haha! Something about those spots feels familiar. Yarika! Yarika! Inspiration strikes, I figured it out! It's a bit harder when you see when you look at the back of the map. Can you point at the front? You make a fair point. Maybe less inspiration struck than the first assumed. I might have to think on this more. The map of Issei Day. Judging from its condition, it's quite old. If I were to guess, I'd say it's over 100 years old. No, perhaps even more than 200 years old. I wonder how old it really is. Cersei, do you recognize the symbol on the lower right? It appears to be quite similar to Sanskrit. However, I don't recall a character quite like this one. It may be a mark unique to the cartographer, like a signature. If that's the case, it's irrelevant to our investigation. I agree, though my opinion will change if we come across the symbol elsewhere. Oh, writing. The phrase, "Search the 95th," is written on the map around the location of Issei Province. I do like how when you push against any of the light sources it changes. That's very cute. Erika! Erika! Inspiration strikes, I figured it out! Did you? Where's the treasure? Point at the location on the map. I mean, okay, remember we learned about the stars. Okay, do we have them still? Summer triangle. Nope. Hikoboshi, Deneb, Vega, Orihime. Search the 95th. No, it's Hatsune. Isn't that Taishima? You're right, it depicts an island to the south of Kamishima. It's safe to assume that this map was made before Taishima sank then. That makes it over 400 years old, and made during the Sengoku period. Incredible. I mean, it clearly has something to do with the stars. The light is passing through the windows. It's hot outside, so I'll leave them closed. 'Tis summer. A hanging scroll perfectly complements the tatami room. This room may not have been dedicated to Clove, but the scroll still really ties the room together. How lovely. Searching for just mermaid meat alone may seem like a waste. Agreed. The best thing to do about it would be to find a living human mermaid. And I have no doubt that this map will lead us to a place that is related to mermaids and immortality. This is quite exciting. Now this is what I call a true adventure. No matter the era, there's nothing better than a quest for the unknown. Let's see. The 97th is the... Does that mean... Clearly has something to do with the spots. Okay. So I looked up a walkthrough. I'm not gonna lie, I did not come to this myself. So I'm supposed to also look at the... Because I have the right idea. So Hikoboshi, having fallen in love... Compares to separating to legendary lovers. Records the scene along finally to meet face to face. Okay, so it looks like I'm supposed to do Hikoboshi, which is this bottom point. Allow me to explain. You see, the 95th in the riddle must refer to the 95th tale in the Tales of Issei. I had the right idea. I didn't quite get there, but I had the right idea. And the title of that is none other than Hikoboshi. Next, note how the summer triangle constellation is drawn on the back. The location of Hikoboshi or Altair is something 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 something. Corresponds to this very spot on the map. Incredible. I should have expected nothing less. You truly are a genius, Avi. Nothing compares to the rush of a breakthrough. Let's keep riding this high. Alright. Even if we were to search the area on the map, it's in the middle of the sea. How are we supposed to search a place like that? Looking for an unknown object somewhere on a large swath of the sea floor seems like an impossible task. You're right, that does sound difficult. We might have to ask our friendly CEO for help. He did give us his card. Is he... Where is he? Is he maybe involved in the... However, wouldn't that mean we'd have to inform him of the map? No other way about it. In addition, should we find anything, I imagine he'll expect a share of the spoils. I really wanted to keep it all to myself. Sharing is the worst. I understand, but we have no other options. It's a shame, but I suppose you're right. We should contact him as soon as we can. Okay, maybe not. I'm just trying to figure out why Cersei was so suspicious over here. You know? Avi and Cersei's quest for immortality is in full swing. Having pinpointed a likely location on their mystery map, they ask Kipe Yokoma to investigate it on their behalf. However, the next day. Hello, this is Ikoma, calling about the seafloor investigation. I asked an AMA diver to investigate the area because I was keen to get results as soon as possible. However, she has not returned. Oh, this was one of the people who went missing. Which is why we're headed out there ourselves to assess the situation. We've nothing else to do after all. So he asked an AMA diver to investigate the seafloor in this area, which, you know, seems like a smart move, assuming the Curse of the Raging Waves wasn't happening too. I guess in a place like this, it would be faster to hire an AMA than a regular diver. Even in this age, you can still get some AMAs to do contracted dives, huh? It appears she was contracted to investigate for about an hour, at which she was to return, even if empty-handed. That's very reasonable. I suppose the intent was just for her to survey the area to start with. However, several hours passed with no word from the diver, so I can see why Ikoma is worried. We'll start by checking out the location. We can request a police search after if need be. Cersei, do you have a bad feeling about this? I do, ever since we first heard about this. I see. There is a strong negative spirit energy in the air that is only intensifies as we approach the spot. Something happened there. The diver didn't make it back. Is it safe for us to go? I have a talisman that repels evil. It should be fine. Well, if you say so. Worst comes to worst, we'll reunite in the afterlife. Understood. Leave it to me. There's something there. That must be the AMA diver's boat. There doesn't appear to be anyone around. How unsettling. You're right. There's something terrible here. Is it really that bad? It is. I can tell even from this distance that it's coming from the bucket. Oh, that's the same symbol that's on the map. It's saturated with a sinister spiritual energy. There's some real powerful curse inside. Inside the bucket? Does that mean the AMA diver found something from the sea floor and brought it up to the surface? And perhaps succumbed to the curse while trying to get it out? Yes, unfortunately. As we cannot say for certain which misfortune this curse may call forth, I need you to remain cautious. Can you dispel curses, Cersei? It depends on the curse itself, but I believe I may be able to handle one of this caliber. That's a relief. Is it really safe for us to approach that boat, though? Yes, it's fine. For me, at least. Understood. If anything else happens to me, then I'll leave the rest to you. Oh my. There's a small metal box in the bucket. This has to be the source. Can we take it? Yes, provided I can overpower the malice it's engulfed in. Ha! That was it. It should be safe to touch now. I'll leave that part to you. No problem. Box. It's pretty heavy. What do you think this box is exactly? It appears to be quite old. It likely dates back to the same time period as your map. Here, take a look at the symbol on top of the box. Do you recognize it from anywhere?
I
saw it on the map. Oh, this is that strange symbol we saw on the map. It's thus far to say that the map was leading us toward this exact box. That only makes its identity all the more intriguing. There's some strange lines on the side. Perhaps this is some sort of pattern. It appears to open from the top, but it's not budging at all. It would take quite a lot of strength to force it open. Is this like... It kind of looks like... like islands? I believe this box is sealed with a powerful spiritual energy. It was probably sealed by a skilled sorcerer a long time ago. I doubt it will open by any normal means. I can feel something shifting whenever I turn it. There must be some kind of mechanism inside. Then I suppose you'll want to align the box with the spiritual energy of this place. In English, please. It's likely that the mechanism for unlocking the box is activated by orientating the box in the right directions in the right order. I see, so I have to figure out where to point it. Leave it to me. Okay. Okay, I think I do have the right idea of it. Okay, and now how to open the metal box. I should investigate the box and rotate it so I can get a good look at all four sides. This part is this here. Okay, wait, 1, 3, 2, 4. Okay, that didn't help. It's possible that the area is key to getting the box to open, so we should try to figure it out before leaving. Got it. The closest shore to us is the east side of the Shima Peninsula. You get a good view from here. I think I can see it all the way from Ijika to Kazaki. That's right. Both have a lot of ama, but Kazaki is especially known for as a holy ground for ama divers. This is right, I'm pretty sure. And then this part is this part. bit. 2. 3. 4. I have to orientate the box in the right direction, but what is the right way? Okay. Maybe we start over here then? Okay, 1. 2. 3. 4. Open. No, okay. I'm definitely on the right track, though. Cersei, I'm on the right track. I know I am. Okay, maybe this is 1. Okay. Oh, okay, now I see. Okay, 1. Then... Oh, no, maybe because I have to do it in 2. Three. Not quite. I thought for sure it's this one. Okay, I was right. I was right, but just in the wrong position slightly. Congratulations! What's inside? Let's see. What is this? Is this the... Is this the curse stone for the thing that turns them into a mermaid? Oh? Curse of the Forsaken Fish. Whoa, something came out! Sick design. Yikes, what's this? Make it stop. Deep and painful, resentful memory has invaded my mind. Drift forever, ill-doers. Be as fish. Perish. You have acquired the curse of the Forsaken Fish, curse stone. You can turn people into fish and kill them whenever they are submerged in the waters of Issei Bay. It can even be used at a distance, provided the target meets the requirements. Press the Use Curse button when you wish to use the curse. I don't think I will. I don't think I will. Oh, that's such a cool design. That's such a cool design. A curse born from the final moments of Hayase, a mermaid brutally tortured to death by humans on Taishima around 400 years ago. The curse has the power to kill any human submerged in the waters of Ise Bay by gradually turning them into a fish, starting from their feet. However, the excruciating pain suffered during the transformation often results in them dying before the metamorphosis is complete. The bodies of those who succumb to the curse decay almost instantly, shriveling up into desiccated, fibrous masses. This curse can also be triggered remotely, provided that the curse bearer knows the victim's exact location. Mermaids inherently possess the ability to turn humans into fish at will. The curse of the Forsaken Fish is the result of that ability being turned into a conditional curse and sealed within a cursed stone. What the hell was that? I'm not certain. But I believe we may have acquired a cursed tool known as the Curse Stone. However, they are rarely possessed by such powerful curse echoes. How lucky. You're sure if you are truly congratulating me, then I'll happily celebrate with you, but can I ask you something first? Of course. Am I cursed? Am I going to die? I wouldn't say you were cursed, per se. There was a similar case in Tokyo last year. Hold on a minute. I cannot think straight. This is far too overwhelming. An incredible amount of information flooded into my mind just now. I need a moment to settle before I can take in anything else. You must mean the resentful memory held by the curse. It's a phenomena where the events leading up to the curse forming are passed on to the curse bearer so that its grudge will spread. Oh, and curse bearer refers to someone who is haunted by a curse echo, and thus is able to use the curse. Stop! I already told you I can't take any new information. You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Curse echoes are the visual manifestations of curses. These manifestations are fundamentally related to the origin of the curse, but they do not always take the same shape, sometimes appearing in a more abstract or disfigured form instead. Unlike spirits, they are manifested illusions, and as such have no consciousness of their own. A person afflicted by a curse and has a curse echo is called a curse bearer. Even among curses, a curse that contains a curse echo should be considered very powerful in of itself. Ordinarily, those with no spirit sense would not be able to perceive a curse echo, but such individuals who become curse bearers by coming into possession of a curse stone or other such means can see others' curse echoes. A type of curse tool that allows even people without any spirit sense to wield curses. As long as the tool meets the above criteria, items of any shape or size may be referred to as a curse stone. Many curse stones have conditions that must be fulfilled prior to using them, often based on the spiritual power and characteristics of the curse itself. If a curse stone has low spiritual power, it may only be used under certain specific circumstances, such as when under the influence of the Feast of Shadows, a spell that heightens the potency of certain types of spiritual energy. I think I just learned why Taishima sunk 400 years ago. Let me sort all that out first. Really? Tell me. Yeah, give me a minute. Date unknown, August 1980X afternoon, Tobis city area. Thank you for investigating the situation for me. I was involved in the accident many years ago, so I can't bring myself to go out to sea anymore. You've been a tremendous help. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. We actually got our hands on something quite valuable, so we owe you thanks as well. That's great. I'd love to hear more about what you've discovered if you don't mind. Of course, it's a curse stone. Did he take this curse stone? Because I don't think Avi would, purposefully kill someone. That's just not how I've... interpreted his character to this point, but also, I mean, don't really know too much about him, all things said. Like, I don't know how he reacts under pressure, right? We've seen the other characters, but not so much him. Not yet, anyway. We're currently at the mouth of Kamo River. There's a residential area further upstream. It seems Mr. Ikoma has just arrived in Toba, so we managed to meet up without any problems. Nice! Sorry, man, I'm doing stuff. I'm checking things. He may look scary, but his demeanor is surprisingly gentle and kind. He's a very polite young man. People like him tend to be misunderstood because they're a bit awkward, and must struggle with that kind of thing a lot. The diver I hired to perform the search was an Ama diver living in Toba City by the name of Tomiko Suma. I thought there was no way we would pull off the search, but that's when she agreed to take on my request. I feel terrible about what happened. I can only hope that she's still out there unharmed. She had no idea of knowing how dangerous this job was. If we knew there was a curse involved, we probably would have done something different, but we did not know that. Please, I'm the one who sent her out there. If there's blame to take, it's mine. But still, what exactly happened out there? About that, let's start with this metal box the Ama diver found. Please do. So, basically, this is the wooden carving we found inside the metal box. I see, so your map indicated the location of this wooden carving. We believe so. The question is why? Why go through all the way just to not... The question is why? Why go all the way not to just hide it, but to conceal the map in a mermaid mummy? How very intriguing. I suppose a carving like that would have had some value back in the day, but to go through all this effort to preserve it like this... I mean, it's a curse stone, and a very powerful curse stone, so... But then why make a map? I believe this was preserved was not the carving itself, but the mermaid's memory that was stored inside the curse. Dun dun dun! A curse? Dun dun what now? That's right! In other words, the one who made that box entrusted it with a message, and we are the recipients! Please calm down. I'm feeling quite lost. I know you're quite excited, but I think we have no choice but to start explaining the curse. That's right, it's curse chit-chat time. I may be a bit too rational to believe what I'm about to tell you, Mr. Ikoma, but even so, I ask that you try your best. Huh? If you're ready to hear it, I'm ready to say it. Come, give me your answer in the next 3 seconds. 3. I'm prepared. Please tell me. I see. So the Taishima mermaid known as Hayase was killed by raiders. The hatred she left behind became a curse that entered this wooden carving. You, Avi, then inherited her curse in addition to information from 400 years ago in the form of a resentful memory. You absorbed all that quite efficiently. I'm impressed. This is actually not the first time I've heard of what can happen if one touches a curse stone. Oh? Yes, but let's save that conversation for you later. More importantly, you know what actually went down on Taishima 400 years ago. That's right. I know the truth. All of it. What happened, what didn't, I know it. You seem a bit frazzled. Do you need more time to collect your thoughts? There's no need to worry. I am prepared, but it'll take some time to explain. It's time to reveal what happened 400 years ago to Taishima and the mermaids. Please, do tell. Around 400 years ago, the area of Shima Province, which included Taishima, was governed by the Kuki clan. The leader of the clan at the time was Kuki Sumitaka, and it was his duty to protect the secrets of 3 mermaids living on Taishima. That must have been Sobai, Nagame, and Hayase. However, the legend that eating mermaid flesh could grant immortal life was well known, so he secretly hid them on Taishima so no one would learn about their existence. It appears Sumitaka thought that the mermaids of sacred or divine existence. The thought of seeking immortality for himself likely never crossed his mind. The land where the mermaids lived was a sanctuary that he fiercely protected at all costs. In other words, Taishima was an island where people worshipped the mermaids in secret. Indeed, it meant the people living on the island were not simple commoners, but guards tasked with the protecting of the sanctuary and its mermaids. Sumitaka was so dedicated to keeping the sea mermaid's secret that he kept the existence of Taishima out of historical records. The public believed that the entire island was entirely uninhabited. I see. By keeping its existence hidden, he was able to keep the mermaids safe. However, a vassal of Sumitaka's uncle, Yoshitaka, learned about the mermaids on Taishima. He passed the information on to Yoshitaka, who believed in obtaining immortality was a must to rise to the top of an era that was often plagued by war. He commanded his vassal to lead the army to Taishima and do whatever he had to do to return with the flesh of a mermaid. Sumitaka and those on the island resisted, but the invading army was too powerful. The island was swiftly overrun. Ultimately, Hayase was captured and brought before the vassal. The vassal tortured her, demanding she grant him the power of immortality. But Hayase did not yield even to the most hellish torments. She screamed and cursed with despair and anger until her dying breath. That's horrible. The hatred Hayase felt at the moment of her death led to the creation of the curse of the Forsaken Fish. And that's what I learned from the resentful memory inside the cursed stone. But, to be honest, that is only half. Half of what? Half of the memories. The other half is the memory of the one who left behind the metal box. Namely, the story of how the curse of the Forsaken Fish became a curse stone. Having failed to obtain immortality, the vassal flew into a rage. He had all the inhabitants of Taishima slaughtered as revenge for keeping the secret. This guy was the worst. Finally, he continued his advance into Sanctuary the islanders had protected down to the last man. There, he destroyed its shrine. What irony that he came so close to the secret he had been so desperate to find. Are you saying that the other two mermaids were still in the Sanctuary? No, they had already fled Taishima. Actually, there were two other survivors. Sumitaka's adopted daughter, Princess Hatsune, also escaped the chaos of the invasion unscathed. Oh, adopted. That might explain the age discrepancy there. There was one other islander who managed to survive as well, taking with him the treasure that the mermaids had protected. Somekawa's lineage, rather. The mermaid's treasure. This may shed some light on the descendant you spoke of earlier. Of course. She must be a descendant of the man that escaped that day. We now know she was correct when she spoke of the three mermaids living on Taishima. So we do. Putting descendants aside for now, let's return to 400 years ago. The vassal's invasion and the destruction of the sanctuary was like a trigger. As a reaction to the sanctuary's fate and their own ill-deserved deaths, the sorrow and hatred for the islanders swirled together and formed the curse of the raging waves, a natural disaster that shook the heavens when it descended upon Taishima. The curse bombarded Taishima with violent winds, earthquakes, and thunder. Then, in a final act to protect Taishima's lost sanctuary, they sank it into the sea to destroy all evidence of it ever existing. They destroyed it! The small island of Taishima sunk swiftly under the waves. The vassal and all his men were, of course, all killed thanks to the curse. But one problem remained. That wasn't the end of it? That reminds me, I meant to ask about the metal box. If it's been lying on the seafloor for 100 years, how come it hasn't discovered until now? It was most likely sealed inside a rock or something until a few months ago. So it was sealed away under a certain amount of time has passed, 400 years. I mean, that's important, right? No. I believe the box unsealing may have been triggered by something. Taishima was destroyed by the natural disasters caused by the curse of the raging waves. But the calamity continued for many days. It must have seemed as though it would never end. I can't imagine how terrifying it must have been. Sumitaka even sought out a famous onmyoji to dispel the curse, but he was unsuccessful. The curse would eventually sink to the bottom of the sea, along with the sanctuary, to be sealed there. Only then did the calamity end. Yet it appears that this curse was so powerful that it required a sacrifice to be truly sealed. Sato. A sacrifice? Not just any sacrifice, but a living one. Princess Hatsune offered herself up to be that sacrifice. You said she was Sumitaka's adopted daughter, yes, and that she lived on Taishima? That appears to be the case. Sumitaka was evidently so taken with her that he decided to adopt her. The rumor is that she threw herself down a well was likely to spread to cover up the real cause of her death. So Princess Hatsune was actually sacrificed. She... The seal would hold for... So, was Sato Princess Hatsune? The seal would hold for 400 years. They must have hoped that the curse itself would fade away during that time, too. However, the curse of the Forsaken Fish, created by Hayase, was also continued to linger in the same place. So the onmyoji sealed inside the wooden carving, turning it into a curse stone. Then the same onmyoji, knowing that the seal would only last 400 years, stored his memories within the curse stone to pass on this information. He wished to pass down his knowledge for the others to use in the event that the curse outlasted the 400-year lifespan of the seal. He left behind instructions on how to completely dispel the curse of the raging waves. Indeed, I've compiled it all in my files. Curse that caused an outbreak of turbulent waves and violent storms in the seas around Kamishima. It is said that the curse was born from the resentment of the former residents of Taishima, an island once located on the south of Kamishima, after someone brought about its destruction. There we go. In the event that the curse did not fade during the original 400 years it was sealed, the onmyoji originally responsible for sealing the curse left behind a plan to dispel it. It was his belief that the curse's power would have weakened enough by that point that performing the following steps would be enough to lift the curse completely. First, thou must unbind my seal, risen from the depths within the iron box. Second, thou must offer the still-tide mirror bequeathed by the sacrifice to the sanctuary. Third, let those who share blood with the lost souls of Taishima be the ones to offer appeasement. So, I mean, that would explain why Mare failed, because the iron box hadn't been found yet. Yeah, so Yuza needs to now he needs the mirror to finish this. Now that does he also need to have the cursed stone of the fish, or so that's what happened. And that wraps it up. I've got all that info beamed into my brain in a flash. And yet I still managed to present it as an enticing narrative, huh? How amazing is that? Are utterly astounding. Wow, incredible. Okay, around 400 years ago, during the Sengoku period. Okay, anything new here? Because he did just tell us the story, so. Okay, let's just read it. Just because there does seem to be new information in here. Around 400 years ago, during the Sengoku period, Oda Nobunaga was assassinated by Hanoji Temple. Assassinated at Hanoji Temple. Kuki Yoshitaka Kuki Yoshitaka, commander of the Kuki Navy, had steadily been gaining influence within the clan, but he now found himself at the crossroads in an era still racked by the turmoils of war. It was then that a vassal of the Kuki clan, Komatsu Sadamune, approached him with some intriguing information. According to Sadamune, 3 mermaids were said to be living on Taishima under the protection of some of the island's residents, even though the island was originally thought to be uninhabited. It was widely known through folklore that eating the flesh of a mermaid granted one immortality and eternal youth. Sadamune urged Yoshitaka to take advantage of this, suggesting that if he possessed such power, an invincible army would be his to command. Seeing that the opportunity he had been waiting for, Yoshitaka ordered Sadamune to capture the mermaids and bring them back to him. However, Kuki Sumitaka, Yoshitaka's nephew and head of the clan at the time, strongly opposed the approaching of Taishima. It was in fact Sumitaka who had been secretly protecting the mermaids on Taishima, believing the mermaids to be messengers of the gods and islands of a sacred sanctuary. He had worked to keep them isolated from the outside influence. His adopted daughter, Princess Hatsune, was also living in hiding on Taishima at the time for other reasons, which further strengthened his opposition to Yoshitaka's plan. However, it was not long before Komatsu Sadamune learned of this. He reported to Yoshitaka that Sumitaka was not only planning to keep the mermaids for himself, but was also secretly moving to build an army of his own. Infuriated by what he perceived as an act of rebellion, Yoshitaka gave the order for Sadamune to prepare a military invasion of Taishima. Upon receiving the order, Komatsu Sadamune immediately set sail for Taishima at the head of the large army. Caught off guard by the unexpected attack, Sumitaka scrambled and sent out his own forces in an attempt to resist, but was unable to prevent the enemy from landing. In the blink of an eye, the once peaceful and beautiful landscape of Taishima was transformed into a nightmare. The islanders, guardians of the sacred land, desperately fought back, but they stood no chance against seasoned soldiers hardened by years of battle on the front lines. And one after another, they fell before the invaders. Sadamune ordered that even women and children be cut down without mercy, and soon the waters around Taishima ran red with blood. Sadamune's forces swept across the island, searching every inch for the sign of the mermaids as they pressed their assault. Finally, they discovered the mermaid in hiding under the name of Hayase and captured her. Sadamune demanded that she make her troops immortal, but the mermaid staunchly refused, even as Sadamune turned to torture, inflicting unspeakable pain with every refusal. The torture escalated until eventually even her supernatural nature was not enough to withstand the torment. On the brink of death, and resigned to her fate, Ayase gave one final, terrible cry, overflowing with resentment and anger as she breathed her last. Sadamune ordered his men to take the flesh from her body, but as they moved to do so, a strange phenomenon began to occur. All the soldiers who approached her body began to transform into fish, their hot bodies decaying rapidly as the transformation took hold. Hayase had cast a curse upon them with her dying breath. With one mermaid Sadamune had captured dead when his forces decimated, he began a mad search on the island in pursuit for the 2 remaining mermaids. Eventually, he had found a deep cave within the interior of the island that extended far beneath the earth, reaching down to the sea floor. In the deepest part of that cave was a shrine, and the door with a powerful seal over it that he couldn't open no matter how hard he tried. Convinced that this had to be the entrance to the sacred land, home of the mermaids, Sadamune gathered all his remaining gunpowder and artillery and unleashed it upon the door, destroying both it and the shrine in the process. The next moment, a violent tremor racked the entire island, and the skies above were engulfed by a storm. The repercussions of this desecration of the sacred land and the resentment of the islanders he had senselessly slaughtered blended together, unleashing an all-consuming calamity that seemed to shake the very heavens and earth. Ravaged by fierce earthquakes and vicious storms, Taishima sank beneath the waves, as if the nature itself sought to protect the sacred land by erasing all traces of its existence. Thus were Taishima and the sacred land, along with Sadamune and his army, lost to the sea in an instant. The only survivors of this tragedy were the 2 mermaids and 2 islanders that had successfully made their escape from the island. Hayase had, in fact, stayed behind as bait to allow the others to escape. The other two surviving islanders were Princess Hatsune and a man named Somekawa, who had been assigned the duty of protecting a relic important to the mermaids. However, the tale did not end with the sinking of Taishima. Sumitake eventually made it to the seas near the island, but a fierce anger and resentment darkened the waters around it, and the curse born from these dark emotions, the curse of the raging waves, had given rise to a storm that continued to rage even after several days after the incident. Furthermore, the curse born from Hayase's final moments, the curse of the Forsaken Fish, also continued to exert its influence on the area, causing anyone who entered the storm's domain to transform into a fish. The situation had grown beyond anyone's ability to control. Sumitaka, looking for a solution, turned to Tsukimikado Harukage, a renowned onmyoji and a friend of Princess Hatsune. After conducting the investigation, Harukage concluded that the source of the curse was the sacred land, now sunk beneath the waves. Although the curse was too powerful to dispel, it would be possible to seal the sacred land by offering up a sacrifice, thereby suppressing its calamitous effects. The seal would last for 400 years, by which he anticipated that the curse of the raging waves would dissipate. Hearing this, Princess Hatsune volunteered to sacrifice herself in the hopes that it would bring peace to the souls of the islanders who had looked after her during her time on Taishima. With her noble sacrifice, the storm died down, and the peace was restored to the seas around the island. A bronze mirror in Princess Hatsune's protection at the time was imbued with power to serve as a talisman to calm the raging waves, and was passed from person to person over the years, eventually making its way to Kamishima. Tsukimikado Harukage was also able to seal the curse of the Forsaken Fish in the wooden accessory that Princess Hatsune had been wearing, turning it into a curse stone. Harukage turned the resentful memories contained within the curse stone to create a record of the event, which he sealed within a heavily locked iron box before concealing it in a rock on the seabed. In the event of the curse of the raging waves had not abated even after 400 years, he made it so the seal on the rock would be lifted at the same time as the seal on the sacred land, so that the record of what had happened and the method of undoing the curse would make its way to future generations. Meanwhile, to protect the sacred land and the mermaids, Sumitaka ensured all records of Taishima were erased, as so no mention of the island or the disaster that had befallen it would make its way into historical accounts. He also concocted a tale in which Princess Hatsune had thrown herself into a well at the defiance of political marriage in order to conceal her sacrifice. Afterwards, Kuki Yoshitaka, infuriated not only by his failure to obtain immortality, but also by the loss of his primary military force, murdered Sumitaka, who opposed him to the very end, and seized control of the Kuki clan in both name and nature. He had his vassals search the area around Taishima countless times after that, but it's said that they found neither the mermaids nor traces of their existence. I've compiled all the details of the story into these files. Feel free to go them at your own pace. Oh, thank you. After Miss Suma found the middle box. You mean to tell me she died? It is likely. If we consider that the curse of the Forsaken Fish had completely saturated the metal box. Miss Suma. Not her. Different person, unrelated. It is likely already too late for her. How horrible. Since she likely turned into a fish and died soon after, there's a high chance her transformed body will wash up on the shore soon. Oh, was that the one that, from the beginning that he had? Wait a second. Is something wrong? Avi, if someone is affected by the curse of the Forsaken Fish, the transformation starts at the feet and travels slowly up, yes? I believe so, though it's hard to say for sure without witnessing it. If it's true, then that might explain the true identity of the fish mermaids discovered in this area. It could have been the bodies of those died in the middle of transforming due to the curse of the Forsaken Fish. Oh, that's a convincing theory. fish mermaids have been recorded as having only human heads or faces, or appearing human just from the chest or shoulders up. If the curse starts at the feet and travels upwards, that would explain the variety of fish mermaids that have appeared. The process is so painful that most die during mid-transformation. Then the curse causes the corpse to rapidly wither, forming a fibrous mass. Ah! That might even be the true identity of your mermaid mummy. Interesting. Still, without analyzing it directly, there's no way to know for certain. But perhaps this is why the mermaid mummies originating from Japan are of such high quality. Of course, this doesn't mean that all fish mermaids or mermaid mummies are authentic. But this means there is a possibility. He made a suspicious face. Actually, I just remembered there were two points from your tale I wanted to discuss. About the events for 400 years ago. My first point concerns a vassal who tortured the mermaids in an attempt to obtain immortality. If all he needed was the mermaid's flesh, what necessity would there be in torturing her? Oh, that's true. It would mean that the vassal ate the mermaid's flesh, but did not become immortal. So he tortured her to find out why. As for the second observation, I have a theory about the area you described as the sanctuary. Could it possibly be referring to the entrance of Ryugu? Ryugu? It is sometimes also referred to as the Eternal World, or the World Beyond. In some legends, mermaids and priestesses serve the rules of Ryugu, the god of the sea. If the sanctuary was actually an entrance to Ryugu, then that could mean that the mermaids were not living on Taishima, but were merely traveling there from Ryugu. Yes, I believe that to be the case. It would also explain why the destruction of the sanctuary would inspire the fury of the god of the sea. To be honest, it's difficult to believe that the grudges of the inhabitants of Taishima would be enough to explain what happened. How could they possibly engender a curse so powerful enough to sink an island and linger for more than 400 years? However, it is quite easy to believe that a curse from Ryugu could maintain such power. That would also explain the necessity of a sacrifice. Of course, one would be required to seal the entrance of Ryugu. But the entrance to Ryugu was sealed. What became of the two mermaids that fled Taishima? I doubt Soba and Nagami managed to return to Ryugu. I believe they've been living here in the human world for the past 400 years, waiting for the seal to be lifted. They just hid somewhere away from human eyes. If that's true, they have been successfully hiding for more than 400 years. Of course, if they were to hide themselves at the bottom of the sea, it would be practically impossible to find them. It's also possible that they've been wandering the globe rather than lingering in one place. That could explain all the mermaid sightings around the world. They could all be the same too. All this exciting discussion of hiding made me realize something. What is it? Do you recall the story Mystery Coma told us yesterday of the mermaid who became human? Ah. Are you suggesting that she decided to join the human society after she could not return to Ryugu? It is a possibility we should consider. But that only occurred a few decades ago. Why would she decide to become human just before the seal was released? Perhaps her circumstances changed. We can only speculate on the motivations of someone who had lived for centuries. It's possible that she did not feel compelled to, but decided to become human out of her own desire. Could she have met with someone she wanted to live immortal life with, like in The Little Mermaid? That's certainly possible, and quite romantic too. I'll have to write this down. It could make a solid novel. Oh, I've just realized something. What is it? You heard about this mermaid from the descendants of the Taishima survivor, yes? That's correct. I feel it's only right they are reformed of the link thing. We'd love to talk to her. We're quite curious about this mermaid treasure, too. It must have been passed down to them through the generations. I understand. I'll probably drop to her place later with anyway, since I also plan to handle the matter. I understand. I'll probably drop by her place later anyway, since I also have to handle the matter with Miss Suma. I'll discuss it with her then. Thanks, that'll be great. That said, in return, I have a favor to ask of you. Go ahead, we'll do it wherever we can. You said that the seal over the entrance of Ryugu has been lifted. Is that correct? Yes, it is almost likely that it's been gone for several months now. Huh, really? A horrible curse has been swirling around the area where Taishima used to be. It's possible that the curse of the raging waves and it surged up from Ryugu once more now that the seal has been lifted. The fact that we were able to open the metal box is proof that the seal had faded. That would mean that the entrance to Ryugu is now open. Well, the situation is quite unstable now, what with the curse of the raging waves seeping through its entrance. Anyway, what did you want us to do? There is an island quite close to Taishima called There is an island called Kamishima that was located quite close to where Taishima once was. There is something I would like you to do for me there. This request does in fact have some relation to our current conversation. Oh? Ooh. Now then, Avi. We've decided to tell Ikoma everything, but I know there was some information you kept from him. Oh, did I? Yes, something from the mermaid's memories. The real way to obtain immortality. That's right. I see no reason to inform him about it. After all, no matter what he may say about tourist attractions, this guy is also after immortality. I saw him straighten up when you told him about the mermaid being tortured because her captor required more than her flesh for immortality. Are you sure? I thought his goal, if he even had one, was to quell the curse of the raging waves. Perhaps there's that too, but he even asked us to go to Kamishima and find the still-tide mirror in his stead. Yeah, like there's something, because he's clearly one of the disciples of Yamashina. And he wants to find immortality. Things are complicated. You did mention that lifting the curse required the mirror as well as the help of the Taishima descendant, right? There was also something about lifting a seal first, but I don't know quite what that part's all about. Well, I see no harm in quelling the curse, so I say we continue to cooperate for now. Agreed, though I do wish we did not have to approach Kamishima at all. The evil atmosphere is nauseating. However, we must consider the possibility that Ikoma actually has his eyes set on the mermaids in Ryugu. It's possible he may be searching for mermaids like us. I suppose that the discussion can wait for later. First, we must find the treasure that the survivor managed to slip out of Taishima. You mean the treasure required to addition in mermaid flesh when attempting to gain immortality? Yes, it's a treasure known as the Tamatekabako. The mermaid's flesh has to be put inside and purified by it to have any effect. So, provided one has both the flesh of a human mermaid and the I'll get there. Tamatabako, then immortality is indeed obtainable. Boom! A box, often referring to as a relic, used by mermaids who once lived near Taishima. A similar box also made its appearance in the Tale of Urashima Taro as the box gifted to the eponymous protagonist by Otohime, leading to its name becoming widely known. This box is filled with the spiritual energy similar to nature's which fills Ryugu, the mermaid's original home. Objects placed within it may thus be kept in the same state they would be kept within Ryugu. It is said that the mermaids used the box to bring objects from Ryugu with them that they would otherwise have been unable to transport to the material world. But it also has a secondary effect of returning mermaid flesh. Normally, only one would exist in the transient state of the material world, to the state that it would be in Ryugu, thereby restoring its ability to gain immortality. If we could meet with the Taishima descendant, they could probably provide us with information on the Tamatabaka. I concur. If we could get our hands on the Tamatabako, it wouldn't have to worry about Ikoma. However, it is likely he's wary of us, so will keep us from meeting the descendant. At the very least, we'll know he's cautious enough to keep her name secret. Well, that's why I asked him to hand her over our little souvenir. What was that all about anyway? You're sure we're not going to need that iron box? I doubt we'll need it again. Plus, you can think of it as a backup plan. Regardless of what happens, we'll be able to meet with the Descendant tomorrow. Let's get our hands on that mermaid treasure. Find the time to find Atame Tamako. Okay. Ooh, now that's unlocked. Kamishima investigation, Descendant and duty. I still haven't done the arriving on Kamishima one. Alright, interesting. Let's continue with the Avi stuff, just because there's a lot we're learning. We're learning a lot from the Avi stuff. And then we'll come back to Yumiko. But actually, I think that's honestly where I'm going to leave it for today. It's lore. We're in lore. Like, turns out the obvious stuff mostly to this point has been primarily just lore-based stuff. Which I do think is important for figuring out how to solve the misfortune up here. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time, and we'll continue at it and hopefully stop the entire massacre of an island. But we'll see, won't we? Alright, have a great one, guys. Bye!